Hi, my name is Kate. You're not used to this kind of story. It's not perfect, which I guess is a bit like me. In other words, my dad gave up when I was 5 years old. Just got up and went one day. My mom, Clara, didn't take it very well. There are times when I don't blame her, but I thought I was treated badly. Do what you need to do, Kate. A blade-like mess of a home. The way she talked to me made me feel like I was a bother. Mom, I'm almost done with them. I would answer, trying to keep my tone steady. I learned quickly that talking back only made things worse, but sometimes I couldn't help myself. It hurt when she would laugh and say something like, "I'm as useless as my dad." Clara told me that I was a live memory of the guy who had left us, even though I didn't remember him. She told us that she would be out most days working to support us. A lot of nights I was by myself, or even worse, with her friends who didn't like me. She'd tell me, keep an eye on Kate like I was a pet that wasn't getting enough attention. When she was home, they didn't show much desire for each other. "Pat, go ahead," she said, "Aha," while I tried to tell her about my day. It felt like talking to a wall. One night I tried to hug her. I just wanted to feel like her kid, you know? She tightened up and pushed me away. "What do you want right now?" She snapped her fingers at me as if I had asked for the moon. I took a step back and said nothing. I learned not to ask for hugs after that. At school, it didn't get better. I was always the quiet kid who wore hand-me-downs to parent-teacher conferences. The mom who didn't show up in the clothes that were too small. "Kate, why does your mom never show up?" The other children would ask. What might I have said? That she wasn't interested. Clara once came home from work in an even worse mood than usual. One of her friends got into a fight with her, and that friend was supposed to be watching me. Instead, she left me alone. "Kate, why can't you be like other kids? Sitting there with your useless books. You're a huge waste of space, just like your dad." I tried not to cry by biting my mouth. If we fought, things would only get worse. No matter what I tried to say, all I could muster was "Sorry, Mom." That night I lay in bed and listened to how quiet the house was. It was terrible to feel so unloved and rejected. I promised myself that things would be different one day. I wouldn't end up alone and angry like Clara did. Still, I had to believe that life had more to offer, even though I had no idea how to get there. Mark then came into the picture. Mom quickly married him, and we were back together as a family. But after Lily was born, I felt like a ghost, stumbling around a house that didn't feel like home anymore. "Kate, look at your sister. Why don't you look more like her?" Mom always said this, and I hadn't seen her warm eyes on Lily in years. I looked back to remember the last time she had looked at me in that way. But I couldn't remember. I gave her a shrug, trying not to let what she said bother me.
"Mom, what do you mean?"
She sighed in frustration and sadness. "Lily is very gentle and beautiful. What about you? When you wear those open clothes, you're always hiding something. You could be pretty if you tried." Mark would sometimes speak up, acting as a calm middleman in our crazy home. "Clara, Kate is fine the way she is. The girl is nice and smart." Mother would cut him off and her voice would sound impersonal. As I speak, I hear my daughter Mark. "Don't touch this." As Lily became more aware of her role as the space between us grew, loving child. She took advantage of the fact that she was the favorite since she knew it. She is smiling while she plans to hurt me. "Kate won't give me her makeup, Mom," Lily would lie, even though she knew I didn't have much left over. "I bought that for the two of you," my mom would yell at me, and I wouldn't check the information. "Why do you always have to be so proud of yourself?" But I would speak up just for a quick look to stop me. Mark, may God bless him, tried to get people to work together, but it didn't always work. For some reason, Lily put her juice glass on top of my papers while I was helping her with her schoolwork. She just said, "Oops," without feeling sorry at all. Mark, who was there to watch, firmly. "Lily, say sorry to your sister," she told her. Lily scowled and used her deceptive skills. "I'm sorry, Daddy." She told a lie, and her apology was as empty as her look. "I'm sorry." Kate, Mom finally got there. She looked back and forth between us. She took Lily's side right away, no question. "Kate, can't you see that she's being honest? Stop the trouble and clean up this mess." Even though I was cleaning up the mess, I was still very angry about how unfair everything was. Lily always said the same thing about me, and my mom always thought I was the bad guy. During a weak moment, I remember calling Mark's dad and feeling a mix of panic and fear and wanting to connect with someone. It just came out like breathing, but the effects were terrible and happened right away. Mom's face turned into an angry mask. "You're really brave. Kate, Mark is not your dad. You have a dad. This is all you're trying to do, taking his place since he didn't want you." I felt like I had no air left my lungs after hearing what she said. A quiet person who saw how ashamed I was. "It's just..." My voice broke and the pain was too great for me to cry. I thought about, what? That you could just lie like nothing was wrong. That you could make our small family perfect. Mom's voice was deadly, and every word she said was like a knife piercing my heart. When I finally got back to my room, Lily's laughter could be heard everywhere. I was the one who didn't belong. Living in a home with quiet fights and favoritism makes them feel unloved. Mark tried to make her feel better, but his kindness was like a bomb going off in a wound that would never heal. In no way. It's easy to grow up. As I got older, things got worse for my family until they were living in complete misery. Mom was Lily's biggest fan, so as Mom's comments got harsher, she turned into a little dictator. I was getting dressed in my room when the door barely opened. Lily's laughs could be heard down the hall. Kate is putting on clothes. The same as putting lipstick on a pig. She laughed right away, without even trying to be nicer. What she said hurt me more than I wanted to say, and I flinched. "Lily, please turn off your phone." I hit back, but I was hurt more than angry. "Kate, don't talk like that to your sister. You know those clothes don't help you in any way." Lily is right. I felt a wave of shame and anger wash over me as I stood there. But I knew that yelling at them both and telling them to shut up would only make things worse. Mark walked in without realizing that a storm was coming. "Why is there a lot of noise?" He looked at us both before he asked. I said in a low voice that Lily was just being herself, which is cute. My tone was full of irony. Mark let out a sigh and looked like he had lost. "Can't we all get along for once, girls?" Lily complained, as she always does, and told me to stop picking on her. I said that I wasn't starting anything, but it wasn't heard. Mark just shook his head and walked away, leaving me again by myself. Some kids were talking about a party at school the next day, which I overheard. I thought for a split second about going and acting normally for a change, but all of a sudden, things went back to normal. I couldn't bring anyone home. Mom's words would make sure that a boy or friend I looked up to would run away. One night, my mom was ranting about how I looked. "Kate, you might look good if you put in the work. Look at how well Lily takes care of herself." It was time for me to break down. "Why do you think I like her all the time? I'm not that Lily." Mom just rolled her eyes. "Since she shows others how to do it, you can learn a lot from your sister." The words hurt like getting hit in the face. It was always Lily who was talking about how perfect she was while I fell short. Even though my heart was beating fast, I stormed off. There was no doubt that I didn't belong in this family and was always let down. I also thought that no matter how hard I tried, I would always fall short. Finding love should have been exciting, right? For most people, maybe, but it felt like I was trying to walk through a trap while blindfolded. After everything that happened, I was dying for some real, warm love. It took place at home. But every time I thought I knew what it was, something would pop up and surprise me. I met Jake at work. He was funny and charming, and he didn't seem to care that I was uncomfortable. We hit it off right away, and for a moment I thought this was going to be the right match. I believed it was safe to bring him home one night. Big mistake. "Who is this, Kate?" Mom asked, looking at Jake as if he were a bug she had found under the sink. "Hey Mom, this is Jake. We work together," I said, trying to keep their voice steady. Jake put out a friendly and polite hand. "Hey lady, nice to meet you." Mom only gave a tight smile and a nod. It started as soon as we sat down. She looked at me like a monitor, looking for places where I was weak. Kate might not be very pretty, but I think she has a good heart. Keeps her room clean. That's pretty cool. The sound of Mom's voice was sweet but dangerous. Her words were full of fake honey. My heart was going down and I could feel my cheeks getting hot. I felt bad when Jake looked at me with a confused look. That look almost killed me. To be honest, I think Kate is great. Jake tried to say I was smart and funny to protect myself, but my mom wouldn't let him. Yes, however, boys should always be careful. Women who like Kate are often needy and think that going on a date will lead to marriage. Mom went on, and each word cut deep. The evening was ending quickly. We had hopes for each other after Jake left. While he worked, he was cool and quiet. Not being able to blame him. Who would want to be near that mess of fire? Jake wasn't the only one. There were a few other people there with Tom, Darren, and others. Different people, same story. With her threats, Mom would either get them to leave, or Lily would help by spreading a lie about me. I stopped taking after that. The guys go home. They met them outside, but the damage was already done. My sense of self-worth was ruined. Every date felt like a time bomb. It was like they were waiting to leave because they were going to find out about my weird family at some point. When I got home one night after yet another failed date, Mark was sitting by himself in the living room. He asked with shadows from the TV on his tired face. I slouched next to him and said, "Yes, you could say that. You know, that Kate, you're hot?" Mark was being honest when he said that any guy would be lucky to have you. I really did want to believe him, but I couldn't afford to believe. Not when Lily and Mom were always there to tell me I wasn't good enough. "Thanks, Mark. So all you have to do is keep looking, right?" I forced a smile, but inside I was crumbling. "Yeah, keep looking. He's out there, Kate. Someone who'll see you for the amazing person you are." Mark encouraged, his optimism a faint light in the darkness. I nodded, not really convinced, but grateful for Mark's belief in me. Maybe one day, I'd find someone who looked past the mess, saw me, and stayed. Until then, I'd keep searching, hoping for a love that could withstand the chaos of my life. A few years down the road, and here I am, Kate, at 27, carving out a slice of life for myself. I've got a decent job as an economist at this big company, and I've been living in my little slice of independence, a small apartment that's all mine. But the real game changer? Meeting Alex. He's not just some guy, he's the guy. The one I can actually picture the whole till death do us part scenario with. One evening, lounging on my thrift store couch, Alex turned to me, his eyes serious but kind. "Kate, I think it's time we introduce each other to our folks. I mean, if we're serious about this, and I know I am. They should know, right?" My stomach did a flip. Meeting his parents was fine, but my family. Now that's a whole other story. "Alex, you know I'm all in with you, but my family. It's complicated," he said, putting his thumb on mine. "Hey, everyone at home works on a crazy project in their spare time. How bad could it really be?" I sighed as I told Lily and my mom everything that had happened, straight to the point. He didn't run away, which was a surprise. Instead, he grabbed my hand even tighter. "We'll face them together," he said, and that was it. I felt a bit of courage. I calmed down and called Mark. He is the only one of us who has stayed the same through all of my family drama. "Mark, I have some news for you. Alex is the person I'm going to marry." Seeing. After a short pause, "Kate, that's really cool. When can we meet him?" Mark's excitement made me feel better. He was there right away and didn't miss a beat. "Just in case." I let out a breath I didn't know I had been holding. "Mark, soon. It's just, I'm a little worried about Mom and Lily." "Don't worry. I'll take care of this part. To get that young man inside, just invite him. It's about time that this place got some good news." When I hung up the phone, I looked at Alex, who was looking at me with a mix of fear and interest. "Mark is on board, though. See? Step one down. We'll handle the rest just fine," he said with a smile as he hugged me. But as the day got closer, I couldn't get rid of my jitters. Meeting Alex's parents went better than I could have hoped. They were friendly and open. Everything you'd want in potential in-laws. It gave me a sliver of hope, maybe too much. Now, as I paced the length of my living room, I tried to muster that same hope for the upcoming dinner at my family's house. Alex, ever the optimist, assured me it'd be all right, but deep down, I knew the storm that was brewing. It was going to be a showdown, my past against my future. But with Alex by my side, I felt a tad more courageous. Still, I couldn't help but run through every possible scenario, each ending more dramatic than the last. "Kate, it'll be okay," Alex said, catching me mid-pace and pulling me into his arms. "Whatever happens, we're in it together." The air was thick as Alex, and I approached my mom's house, both of us bracing for what was coming. Little did we know, the evening had a twist in store. "Kate, Alex, finally," Mom greeted us at the door, her usual frostiness replaced by a warmth that felt out of place. As soon as we were settled and introductions were out of the way, the bomb dropped. "So, Alex, Kate tells me you're quite the big shot director of your company," and all Mom said. I hadn't seen her eyes light up like that in years. Alex, who is always humble, just nodded. "I've come a long way, but I wouldn't call myself a big shot." That was all that had to be done. Mom was now grinning and laughing, and she was paying close attention to everything Alex said. The change would have been almost funny if it weren't so painfully clear. Everything changed when dinner time came around. Every other phrase, Mom was talking about our family, especially Lily. She was putting her best foot forward. Mom was so happy that Lily had been accepted into the school's honors program. She smiled at Alex and said, "See, we're a family of achievers." Lily loved being the center of attention and adding her own touches. "Yes, I've always been the top student in my class. I guess it runs in the family." I had to squint. Alex gently squeezed my hand under the table to show that he was there for me. Mark, bless him, tried to make things fair by bringing up some of my successes, but Mom slammed him by always talking about Lily and, when she could, Alex's great work. As the night went on, Mom's plans became more and more clear. She was building something, trying to make things better between her and Alex, probably to get a piece of what she thinks is our increased wealth. "Alex, you must come from a family with a lot of drive. Do you not believe it is important to teach these values to our children?" Mom spoke, her eyes moving back and forth between Lily and Alex. "Alex did a great job with it, though." "Yes, of course. It pays off to be honest and work hard," he said. Glanced at me on purpose to include me in the conversation. Mom was pretty much hovering over Alex as we were making plans to leave, and she demanded that we come visit more often. "Alex, you need to come over for dinner again soon." Almost ignoring me as we said goodbye, she exclaimed, "It's been such a pleasure." Alex whistled quietly as he got into the car. Wow, that was really something else. "Putting on a show is something your mom does really well." I sighed and leaned back in my chair. "Yes, I'm sorry about that. What she sees is what she wants to see." Alex took my hand and squeezed it to make me feel better. "Don't forget that we're all in this together, okay? That won't change no matter what your mom says." The phone rang the day after the dinner, while I was still shocked by how well my mom had done. It was Alex, and he sounded weird, like he was having a hard time keeping it together. "Kate, you will not believe this. Your mom called me." Alex started with a tense voice. I stopped moving. "Called you? How in the world did she get your phone number?" He sighed. "I think I found it on some work stuff you left there. But listen to what she said, it makes no sense." My heart broke. "Alex, what did she say?" "She told me to leave you. To marry Lily instead." He just blurted it out, and I could tell he was shocked over the phone. It looked like I had taken a blow to the gut. "Who is she?" The things we said made no sense. It was like we were talking about someone else's life instead of our own. "Yes, I know that. It's not right. But Kate, here's a thought," Alex said with a determined tone. "We can expose her and show everyone what she's really like." My mother and Alex were sitting at a table next to me, and I could feel my heart pounding. My mom makes her a ridiculous offer like she's making a business deal while they talk, but she doesn't know that Alex has a dictaphone hidden in his jacket. My mom walks out of the cafeteria with a big smile when the meeting is over, and sure of himself. As I watch her walk away, I shake my head. I was no longer able to recognize this woman. She looked like my mother, but was not my mother. Alex joined us. On his face, anger and worry were mixed together. "Kate, okay?" I faced him, and it was clear what I was going to do. "I'm fine, thank you. Let's go home together. A wedding needs to be planned." It was time to show what was really going on, to take off the masks and reveal the pure truth. When I went into my parents' house, I wasn't the Kate they were trying to control. I was someone who knew they were lying. When I walked in, my mom smiled smugly at me, which made my stomach turn. "Take a look at who chose to go. Alex no longer being able to come with us is really sad, isn't it? He chose Lily over you," she bragged, her voice full of fake pity. Mark stood next to her and looked confused as he moved his eyes back and forth between them. "Mom, Lily, and I. What's going on here?" When he asked, his voice was full of worry. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I looked at Alex, who had followed me inside. We both gave each other quiet nods to show that we knew this mask had to end. "Actually, Mom, Alex is here," I told him, and I stepped aside to show him. Mom's face briefly changed as her confidence did. but she quickly covered it up with a blank look. The room was tense as Alex hit the record button on the recording. My heart was beating fast, being aware of how important what was going to be said was. When my mother's voice filled the room, the mood changed. Every word in Kate's voice was sharp. "I never loved you." And Mark, to be honest, I only married him for his money. Even though the tape stopped playing, the effect stayed, heavy and thick. The only sound that broke the silence after that was my stepfather's angry, mean voice. Mark finally said, "I can't believe this." His voice was so weak that it was almost a whisper, but it was full of strong feelings. He looked away from the camera and towards my mother, as if he wanted her to say something or say sorry. But there was no one there. Mark stood up, and his determination was clear in his hard eyes. "Okay, that's it. I'm done. You need to leave this place right away," he said. "I want a divorce," in a more determined voice. It was clear right away what would happen. There were tears, claims, and damage done to our family that can't be fixed. Together in their plan, my mom and Lee were now the only ones left to deal with the consequences of being selfish and lying. While I stood there in the middle of all the chaos, I felt a strange sense of calm, no matter how hard it was. The truth set me free from the lies that had been a part of our lives for too long. The weeks that followed were spent getting back together with Alex and making plans for a future full of love and trust. Our marriage was marked by a small, close-knit service attended by friends and people who really cared about us. Mark was there, and his appearance showed how strong family ties are even after everything. Mom and Lily together. It was hard for me to decide to end things. It wasn't easy, but I had to do it for my own pleasure and peace of mind. Alex and I knew that this was just the beginning as we stood there hand in hand. A new beginning, free from the weight of the past and ready to face any task that comes up together.